This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it's time for Let's Talk Life with Alicia. Now, before we get started, I want you to let me say the title one more time. Called Let's Talk Life with Alicia. So it's just Alicia and myself today, and we are going to talk about, we're not even sure. We're just going to let the conversation flow. But oftentimes, when Alicia has a guest on, we let everybody know that that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk and we don't edit because when you're having girl talk, that's what it's all about. And, um, you know, I think it's pretty safe to say that we don't delve into anything overly personal. And if we start to, um, if you put your hand up or say, no, I don't want to answer it, we just don't answer it. Now, sometimes Alicia has her snippy attitude, which I love dearly. Heck, she caught me on it at one show about a week or so ago. She said, Karen, I don't agree with you. But you know what? That's the best part of it because we don't have to agree and we get to learn from each other. So, we're still in lockdown to some degree. It's still a pandemic. You're still seeing patients who are suffering with all this.
hmm
How are you dealing with it?
Like everybody else.
Good
Y- y-
answer.
I mean, there's no. I want to start rewind because I want to address how you introduced the
Yep.
show, and that is let's talk with Alicia. It's not Dr. Alicia. It's not Dr. Minlin. It is me as a person. And does it help with my professional background? Sure, I guess. I don't, you know, um, but I come from a place of operating real and authentic. And actually, we do get pretty personal. I think we don't overstep boundaries. And I think that's really, really important to know. You and I talked about doing this podcast um, during the pandemic because we needed to talk about the fact of life and being real and being authentic.
Absolutely.
And it is a opportunity for anybody to come on and just discuss life and the good, bad, and the ugly. Yes, professionally, I am a licensed professional counselor. I, have a doctorate and yay, that's, and that's my profession, but I am also a human being. Now, which now we're going to segue
Yep.
because my ADHD apparently is not all over the place today. But I went to school, trauma and PTSD are part of my training. I have extensive training in it. I continue to because that's what I deal with on a daily basis. Nowhere in history of my 10 years of college did we have a handbook that said, oh, during a pandemic, you know, go to page 55, and if they're having this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. And, we talk about, and depends on where you're training and what, theory you identify with. And I'm eclectic, so I take from whatever, fits me, but also my patient. And pretty much that's how I live my life as well, is I take a little bit of here, I take a little bit of there. It is hard well, they talk about like how much do you disclose in therapy? Well, I went right out of my master's program. I didn't disclose a whole lot, and my patients were they didn't respond as well. So I am very open with my patients. Right, wrong, or indifferent, there is nothing that's violating the code of ethics on that. It's just real. And have I cried during the pandemic with my patients because the everyday my life completely changed? Yeah, you know what? I have. And some of my colleagues would be like, "Oh my God, Alicia, your personal stuff got in the way." Well, no, it was a moment in time, and I am human. We talked about doing this podcast so we could reach people and saying of like, you are not alone. So that's what I'm doing during the pandemic. I There are days that I go in denial about it. Like and it's I have my new routine. Do I like my new routine? Some days yes, some days no. Uh do I do I like the fact that COVID, I hear about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No. I don't. I love politics. I don't love politics anymore. I don't. There's a lot of things that have changed. I love being with my friends, and I love that I have friends from all different walks of life. Right now, personally, do I enjoy hearing about if COVID is a hoax or not, or how it was handled, or how it was this? No, I don't. Because you know what? Every single day I talk about with my patients about how, they're afraid to get COVID for the second or third time and they're going to die. Okay, well, that's something that's very real. It's a very real fear. And then I go home and I retrieve my children from my parents and I go, holy shit, I touched a handle of something and I could give this to my parents. And if I killed them, I would feel bad. Yes, I would feel bad. But that's my social conscious part of it. Do I like that I don't see my friends? Uh, no, I don't. But I'm having horrible migraines. It's not COVID related, but the first thing I think is, oh my God, I've been out to Kroger, which is our grocery store in Michigan that I go to. And is this the beginning? No, I'm having dental surgery because I have horrible gums and I grind my teeth and I have been grinding my teeth for a year now. So now I have done damage and I have loose teeth. So now I'm afraid I'm going to be toothless and I'm going to, be all gummy and I'm never going to smile again, which is crappy because it's one of my attributes where I'm like, not like, oh, she's got sagging skin here or whatever. So it's now, would I obsess over this like I would think about it during a pandemic? I don't know because my life has changed so much.
Right.
And I looked through the positive aspect of the pandemic, which in the beginning was very positive because I run around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I didn't realize how much I was juggling because that was just life. And I complain, and my friends are probably all laughing of, yeah, it's more like bitching, but I put my big girl panties on and I just go about doing it. And I that's how I've operated. So to have that completely unplugged from me, um, that was jarring. To be completely scared of this unknown virus, um, and getting angry at the former administration, uh, wasn't helping. I mean, it wasn't.
Wasn't.
It absolutely wasn't. Do I personally think it was handled well? No, I don't. Do I think it's gotten better? No, I don't. Because the bottom line is we don't know because it's a new virus. So, and then I could go conspiracy theory on everyone and say, oh no, this was biological warfare gone bad, and there's really we know the truth, and no one's saying it. So I can go all the spectrums
You
of it.
certainly can.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And is it fact based? Some of it is. Is it my opinion? Some of it is. But I'm to a point where, do I want to have a debate about it? No. Do I want to debate about the Republican Party? No, not really. Do I want to debate about the Democratic Party? No, not really. I'm not thrilled with anybody. So we can just put that right out there. And I'm an independent. I'm very liberal. I'm pretty non-judgmental on most things. But I think the pandemic has given me the zero F's given. I'm limiting my, curse words today. But hand to God, it is seriously, that's where I am to a point now. Do I care? No. I want my children healthy. I want my parents healthy. I want my friends and family who I love dearly to stay healthy. And do I think some of my friends are being dumb? No, they're doing what they need to do for their life.
I'm glad that you said that because, you know, I have some friends who look at my husband and I and say, You're not going out anymore." Well, we go out, but we are very selective where we go out. Um, and there are certain couples that we won't go out with because we know w- how they're living their lifestyle during this time.
Yeah,
And we love them to death, but we don't want to die because of
right,
of the things that they are doing. Are they reckless? Not really reckless, but they're going out more than we are. They're more involved. Um, and so I don't feel comfortable.
right.
So and as far as I'm concerned, we should all be allowed to say yes or no to whatever we need to do to make ourselves feel comfortable. Um, and you know, we all go through shit our whole life. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Um, and some days are better than others. And for those of you who only read the happy stories on Facebook, about the perfect family and the perfect hairstyle and everything else, you know what? I have some of those days too. But within minutes, the hairstyle is not so perfect and the family isn't so perfect. But that's okay because that's what life is about. It's about the mixing up of everything. Um, we're open on almost every podcast we do on New Cleveland Radio. We don't edit. Um, and the reason being is that we can learn from each other. And you know, you are young enough to be my daughter,
Yes,
and yet I'm comfortable having these conversations with you because I learned so much, even
mhm,
when you might say something that, yeah, I'm not sure I would do it. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. But you know what? That's not me.
right.
That's you. And that's the way it should be.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to. And I think I've eliminated the word should out of my vocabulary.
Okay.
And I will tell you why. Because should I do it? Well, if that was the case, then I would have done it.
Interesting.
It be, like, could I have handled something differently? Yeah. This last year, I could have handled a whole lot of things
All
differently.
of us.
But I got to tell you something. 2 years ago, I could have handled things differently, and 4 years and 15 years ago. And would I change it? I can pretty much count on like my both hands, so 10 things that I would change in my life. Nowhere in there, but it would change. It would alter my life, I believe, so differently that you and I probably would not be sitting here.
Probably not. You're absolutely right.
So I can, if I've wronged, I can make amends and I can forgive and I can have all of these things. But we're talking about a shared experience, and during times there's two types of people really, and then of course that's extreme because there is a continuum. Either when people are going through hard times they isolate and they shut down, never forcibly, but they do. Or that they look for other ways in human connectedness because they need that distraction. We know, and this is through psychological literature and things, isolation for long periods of time is bad. One of the things that really angers me is when they were talking about social distancing. Right then and there, you are talking about a cutoff as opposed to we have to physical distance and we have to do this. That makes more sense and is less intrusive and less like, you know, not everything leads I don't, believe it or not, in the extreme behaviors that I do have, not every, oh, I'm going to die. My bigger thing is being on a vent. That is, quite frankly, that is the most scariest thing, is that I could be
Mhm.
somewhat cognizant and couldn't breathe on my own. And then fear of never getting off the vent. Probably the best way to quit smoking. But other than that, like, that is the most terrifying thing to me. Second was when I had my C-sections and they and I had the nerve block and I couldn't feel my legs and I
Yeah,
like was
that's
like, "Oh
scary.
my
Yeah,
God."
yeah.
And my OB was like, "Alicia, that's normal. Like that's good. We don't want to." And I was like, "You are physically, chemically restraining me," and scared the crap out of me. Because what is it? All of these what if, and yes, this nerve block is very much to me like COVID. We don't have answers because we don't have the time period. We don't have enough, or we do, and no one's just saying anything. So I think that also leads for a lot of speculation. But going back to what we were talking about, you and I talked about this podcast about making connections with people. People want to take something that is ambiguous and make it concrete. And we don't want to feel like we are alone in the world.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so these podcasts could say, oh, you know what? I listen to Alicia just to hear the shit that comes out of her mouth because she's full of shit and I hate her. Great. You've made a connection today that you might not have left your house. Or you are ill, God forbid, because you got what I call and my daughter calls the vid. And now that you can't go anywhere. And so you're flipping through this and you're listening to it and going like, well, she's really cocked in the head. Like, whatever. It's about connected. It's about feeling less lonely. It is about, oh my God, I feel exactly that way, but I can't share it.
Well, in connecting, it
Mhm.
gives us this opportunity to look at our choices. Okay. And that's something that people have come back to New Cleveland Radio and have said to us. It's like they've noticed a change in my personality. It's because I feel more comfortable. I feel more comfortable talking. It's what I it's it's how I survive. And I felt this way before COVID. Okay. Um, when you and I did a podcast back after my mother passed away.
I was
I
just thinking
yeah,
about that.
I needed that. And I
Mhm.
knew other people needed it as well. They needed to know that number one, you may have thought your mother didn't love you your whole life and you were striving to get her attention, but you had her attention all along. And if you find that out, wow, that was worth the 2.5 months that you spent at her bedside.
Yeah.
And that worked for me. But I also knew that if I could have gone back knowing that, wouldn't that be a great thing for me? That maybe I
Sure.
could have listened to her differently. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten aggravated when my phone rang and I saw her name come up and it'd be like, oh, she just called me 5 times already. You know, um, that's just who she was.
Right.
And those discussions really, really helped and has helped grow our platform because now we talk about so many things. Um, this afternoon, we did a podcast on the choice of living your life out at home
Mhm.
or living in a facility. And many of us look at our parents at a certain age and we go, who's going to take care of them? Oh, hey, there's a place down the street and mom and dad go and move there. And maybe it's not the best thing. Maybe they should be at home with some help. And having that conversation today opened up, a lot of thoughts in my head. It's
Sure.
like, you know what? We have choices, but if you don't talk about them, nobody's going to know what you want.
Well, and then that also goes to about being real and being genuine. So, and I think part of it is I am so sick of fake people. I am so sick of, what are they really saying? What do they really mean? I, and I will admit, yeah, there was a time I went on a single dating app for all of it lasted 7 minutes because I'm literally going swipe. Oh, so here's a dog. They have 4 children. They have this. Now, oh, my interests are hiking. I go travel. I do this. And I'm sitting here like, okay, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And are you like, and do you make $10 an hour? Now, I am not so bougie in saying if you make $10 an hour, I can't date you or whatever. But I was like, but you're sitting there on $100,000 boat. Is that really your boat? Like, I
Yeah.
can't. And so, okay, swipe and then swipe. And it's literally this whole thing. And it's like, state your purpose. My purpose in life is right now is being, a mother, a daughter, a therapist, a friend, a significant other. Those are my purposes in life. And also, I am loving my Netflix. And honestly, I would love to get rid of this migraine. So that is a constant, like, but I know where it's coming from now. And so now, like, it's not COVID every 5 seconds, and it'll be fixed hopefully soon. But but that's the whole thing. I need in my life real, and I don't appreciate, and that I never appreciate it to begin with.
Right.
I really don't, and I can be civil with people I don't care for because the little, well, in honor of my grandmother's 100 would have been if she were alive 100th
Yes.
birthday today. She would always tell me you have to be civil. You don't have to like them, you don't have to respect them,
Exactly.
but you have to be civil. And I would argue with her. And of course she was from the South and had this, like, the Southern accent of living in Detroit for over 40 something years, and still it was the slowest words ever. So, okay. And I would argue and be like, but if you don't like someone, you should tell them. And she was like, no, you don't. They know. They don't like you. You don't like them, but it's rude. It's rude to ignore somebody. It's rude not to acknowledge somebody. You don't do that. That's not going to, upset the universe, and you're not being fake. Now, inquiring how they are when you could give zero cares, that's a whole other story, but I don't do that. And so, and I like, hey, you don't like me? Cool. Let's be upfront about it. We don't have to be assholes to one another. You can, there are a lot of people in this world I simply really do not like, don't care for them, whatever. I will say hi. I will do, like, and I don't, and honestly, I don't even say, like, I hope things are well for you. Because really, the people that I don't like, I just don't care, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, that's also then the other part of it about karma, where I believe in, of you have the life in some aspects that you deserve. Now, that is not, and I do have to preface this because we talk about the fact in trauma and all the things that I deal with in therapy, of your traumas, things that have happened to you, are not your fault. And I'm not blaming that. That is a whole separate issue and has nothing to do with karma. But there are certain things, though, that I do believe. I will smile at somebody. I will tell them to have a good day if I see someone having bad, because you know what? I've had tons of bad days and nobody knows. And I know what it feels like to be alone. I know knows what it's like at 1:30 in the morning and thinking it's like 5 a.m. during this whole pandemic, and not going to bed for 3 days. There are periods of time now in the last year I simply don't remember. I Facebook memories is a blessing and a curse. I was looking at, I was like, why the hell did I post that a year from like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And I was like, and then whatever reason, my head goes, oh, but you do.
Yeah.
But I don't remember posting it. Um, there was a picture I saw the other day, and I was like, when the hell did I take that? And I'm serious, like, and it had to have been like 3:30 in the morning. Like, it didn't
It didn't register.
time,
Yep.
it was what it was. The brain also does that to protect itself. So in some aspects of it was the slowest and longest 2020 on the planet. And we all joked about like hindsight and all this crap. Ha ha, that's karma.
Yeah.
You know what? The universe really bitch slapped all of us. And was like, all right, here's your wake up call. But I will tell people that I don't like and who have been ultra nasty to me, I hope you have the life that you deserve.
Well, hey,
Because
they can
honestly,
take it
I'm not a nasty person. I can be nasty and I have a wicked temper and I got a wicked mouth on me. And there are times that I will say things I was like, oh shit, not nice.
but somebody could take that in a nice way too, because
I don't think when I look at someone and
oh,
says, go fuck yourself,
oh,
and
okay.
the horse you rode in on, and oh, go sit in the corner and suck your thumb because you're a deadbeat and you're playing all these games and you're a horrible ass person and you deserve every horrible thing that's ever happened to you. I don't think that's nice.
No,
I
I get
don't
that.
think,
No, that is not nice. That's
I mean, they
going a
could
little bit
wake
too far. Yeah.
I mean, it could be the wake up call and be like, oh, wow, this is what you really think of me and how many
Well,
other people.
I've never told anyone that I don't like them, but there are people I don't like, obviously. Um, but it reminds me of when Alex was about 7 or 8 years old. Um, he had a friend in school who he kept telling me about, and he played with this kid all the time, and he wanted to get together with him after school. So I connected with his mother and we made a coffee date. And the first thing she said to me when she walked in the coffee shop was, I wouldn't have chosen to be your friend if both of our sons were not on the spectrum. And I looked at her and I said, excuse me?
Mhm.
And she goes, you're not my kind of friend. And with that, I walked over, I bought a coffee to go and walked out. Now that's the meanest I think I've ever really been to anybody because again, I was brought up with, you always say yes, thank you, or don't say anything at all and walk away. About 4 or 5 years ago, I ran into this woman in the grocery store. She greeted me like she was my best friend.
Mhm.
And I just like, I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was cordial, if you want to call cordial, like, oh, everything's fine, but I'm sort of in a hurry
Right.
because I have no place for her in my life. When I needed her in my life, she didn't want any part of me. Well, she did, only because our boys were on the spectrum. And as far as I was concerned, that was not a good reason to be my friend.
And I think that's interesting because, it's like, yeah, I have like 600 plus friends and I assistant mentor robotics coach for Max's team. And I've met some really interesting people. And there are lots of people like, I don't just hang out with academics. And don't get me wrong, I love academics. I love intelligence. It's awesome, but I'm just not that big of a snob. Um, like in the sense of like, oh, you only have 4 degrees. Like, oh, well, we have the same amount of degrees, so therefore we can have a conversation. Screw that. I think that's not cool. Like, I want to know like what, like. But there are people that because my son has ADHD, that I wouldn't have connected with and wouldn't have been my friend. Um, and so I think there are dance moms who I absolutely adore now, but on face value, I wouldn't have been friends with them. At the same time, there's relatives that, you know what, I talk to because they are my relatives and not like, and if they weren't my relatives, we wouldn't be having conversations.
But
But
I but what you're saying is that when there's something in common, okay,
right,
that can draw you together. If whatever that interest is, it can be, you know, Pilates, okay? I know you love Pilates, so I'm sure you make friends in Pilates. No,
it's funny that you
you
say
got
that. I don't. I
you
go to
don't?
Pilates
Oh,
with, no, because I don't go to group classes. I have an individual thing because
oh,
that is my hour of self-care
got
on
it.
one day a week. And on the second day that I go with my parents because they bogarted my time. And so now we have it like family bonding, which is great. And I love it. And when mom had her other hip replaced, so she hasn't been able to join us. So it's just me and my dad.
I see,
And
okay.
so that's kind of fun. But you know what? Like, but no, I don't want to be around people because you know what? Again, I do like people and then I can't stand people. So there's the
Yeah,
fun part of Alicia. But people like to come and approach me and talk to me about whatever they want without even knowing anything about me. Apparently I have this face of like, oh, please come talk to me. And okay, that's fine. And then people tell me things that I don't need to know, but they feel the need to share. And that's fine too. But when I am going to work out and to strengthen my back, and I no, I I don't want to talk my way. I mean, I do talk my way through Pilates with my dad, but that's my time, and I don't want it. I don't want things intrusion.
well, I guess where I was going with that is that
Yes.
when you have that same interest with somebody, so if you met somebody and you found out they like Pilates like you do,
Uh-huh.
that might draw you to have a conversation and maybe become friendly because
Right.
those are the things that, people talk about, the things they like.
Absolutely. That's why I think like the car group, that I'm a
Yep.
part of. I have amazing friends, and some of the shit they talk about, I have no idea. I will be I have not a clue, and it's a very big learning experience. Um, one of and they're guys and girls because I don't discriminate. I can't. Oh, well, I'm 44 and I'm not married, so therefore I can only have girlfriends, so I don't upset all these men or their husbands or whomever. Like, no, I'm a girl's girl. There's a girl code. I don't break that shit. So, there's more about commonality. Like, I like people with differences because then I can learn from them. But there still has to be commonality and respect and a whole bunch of other things. But you know, fractions. This is where I'm going with this. So there is a point to the whole car thing in fractions. Max is going like he doesn't get fractions, which is great. I don't either. And honestly, in my adult life, half, great. Got it 50-50, learn that in a divorce, fine. 70-30 custody, great. I got percentages, a third, that's 33%. You need to know that for shopping, for discounts. Like, I get that. But, like 8 and 10/16 or whatever. And I was like, you just need to know what a 10 millimeter socket is. You need to know what it goes on to undo the bolts. That's and my dad is like, and I guess I could stare at my at these things, but or like measuring. You
Yep. Yep.
are on the ruler. You just there's the line. Oh, stop. Okay, that's how much I need. I either cut it myself or have 2 1/18. Who can no? Here's the line. This is where it goes to. This is where it fits. That's how my head works. Fractions mean shit otherwise. But unfortunately, in sixth grade, you have to learn that to pass sixth grade. So I don't do algebra either. No one cares about search. Why are you searching for X? Why are you searching for your X? There's no need. There's
I
really,
totally agree with you. When I went back for my master's, they determined that my math class was so old, I had to take a general math class. Well, the first week I was doing fine, and it was an online class. Okay. So I had time to play with things to get my answers. The second week, I had no idea how to find my answers. And I
Google.
sat my son down and I said, "Can you help me?" He said, "You don't know about Aunt Sally?" I said, "Who's Aunt Sally?" Well, there's this thing that you say to help you add, subtract, multiply. I never heard it my whole life. And then he's telling me other things and he goes, "Well, you know how to get 5/7." And I said, "No." And like you, why do I need 5/7?
Right.
Okay. Like, what is the seventh about? And he said, "It's a math problem." And so not all of us get all those things when it came to, writing and spelling and grammar. Hey, I'm okay with all that, but math is not my thing. And you know what? Uh, I would like to learn from other people who like math, but I still don't understand it. So,
I have no desire. I love all you math people. I have that is not anything. Math and I are not friends. We are not, we're not even cousins. We're not even related. It is not, you know what? I know the basics and this is it. When you work, there's a certain percentage that you have to give to taxes. The rest of it, I can run a budget. I know, like, money in, so that's addition.
yes, yes.
Then all the money that you see going out,
It's
that would be
subtraction.
subtraction.
Yep. Yep.
It only multiplies if you work harder or, you're gifted money. Yay. Yeah, those are the mathematic principles in which I live my life under. The rest of it, zero. Like, no, I don't need to figure out the circumference of someone's head is not good. Like, when they're depressed, it is not anything, you know, figuring out medication, not even my domain. People are like, "Oh, well, you know about that." Yeah, I know about it. Then that's the other thing. I have so much information stuck in my head, and it stays there. Math, it's like, no, it's
It's
bye.
gone.
It subtracts itself, divides, and then, exits the building. It doesn't stick. But, like, those kind of things, and also what you use on a daily basis. So, but yeah, so poor fractions. And I was like, dude, that's not going to help you change a tire. Or how many quarts do you need? Okay, so the oil company, yeah, that's a racket too. Because when you change your own, there you always have to get a big jug, which I don't even know if it's a quart, gallon, or whatever. So all of my car friends who are listening can just be laughing because this is how Alicia does it. I get the big one, and then I get the little one, and then that's enough to fill it up. That's it. I don't know if it's a quart, a gallon, 2 gallons, I just know I need the big
You just know
gallon.
by the size.
And God forbid they ever change it. They should change it. It should be, for this make and model, this is how much quarts of oil you need. Perfect. That's got to be quarts then, because it's a quart of oil.
That's right.
So that's what I need. Okay. The tire company, like, how much, how do you know you need air in your tires? There's this cute little sticker on the door, and it tells you what your tire pressure should be. So when you go to check it, if you need it or not. It's brilliant. See, this
Well,
is not
and don't you have a little light that comes up on your dashboard if your tire is low?
usually means that for me that I have a tire leak.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have a rim leak. That
Oh,
the tire is leaking because I will put air in the sun, and then 2 minutes because with air and expansion and when
right.
you run the tires, I need one that lets me know that my tires are balding.
Oh, well, that's what your kids
Especially
are for. They're supposed to
especially on
look.
Vixen. Because and then I can't rotate them because they're two different size tires in the front than in the back.
Ah,
No, that's a good thing. Like, it's
it
okay.
is? Oh, then you get all
And
four.
Corvettes are like that too. You can rotate the front ones, and I don't know. See, these are the important things in life. How much money is in the bank for go fast car parts? That is important.
It's important. And you know what? Everybody has something important in their life.
They do.
And that's part of why we talk about these things, every 2 weeks. Um, I am gonna tell you, I have some guests lined up for your show.
Yay.
Um, and I really do believe that all of these people really just want to talk about life. Um, Everyone that I've interviewed so far has said, I'm an open book and I'm here to maybe find some new choices for myself, because sometimes when we talk things out, we learn something. And on the last show that you did with Barbara, I learned a very important lesson.
Oh, what
And
did you learn? Will you
well,
share?
yeah, I'm going to share it right now. When I use the word single, and you made the comment, that you're Alicia, you're not single.
Right.
And I thought about that for a minute, because we call men and women who aren't in a marriage single, especially if they have kids. Okay.
Right.
They don't have kids. Sometimes we don't refer to them that way.
Don't
And,
refer to them at anything. They're blocked.
and the more we talked about it, it was like, you're right. You may be parenting solo.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're parenting tandem. And sometimes you are hoping you're not parenting at all. But using the
I'm the inmate in the asylum.
but using the word single was almost like a nasty word.
Mhm.
And, you know, it took me time to think about it and process it. But I was so glad that both you and Barbara sort of came, you know, talked about it in that way. It was like, yeah, because I do a lot of things solo and I'm in a marriage. So why wouldn't you be doing things solo?
Right.
Sometimes you're doing things with your kids, so that's not solo. You're doing it with your family. So single is out of my vocabulary now.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, you're welcome. Well, I think that it's all about, what we get out of life, and how we choose to live our lives. And I'm excited for the guests who want to come on. And anybody who is listening to this, you can contact myself or Karen. And, it's a roller coaster, and it's really no holds barred. I think that we said this when the first day of there are any topics. I am not shy. Well, maybe a little, but I am not shy. I don't hold back. Well, I kind of do, because we're taping this, and then Karen will spend a lot of time editing and then be on my ass and be like, I can't use any of this because of your mouth. And I will go, okay. So I do have some committee upstairs a little bit. But honestly, it is really about opening and sharing. And the only thing is, I don't deal real well with, um, and it's not negativity, because we all have our biases, but I cannot handle nastiness. I won't tolerate nastiness. And since the podcast is under my name, I get to choose what's nasty and not.
That's right. Absolutely.
But I mean, yeah, like any topics, and no, there's nothing that is going to shock or surprise me, and that is because of my profession. And you know what? And that's life. People who live behind closed doors and who choose not to, or who want to find, this is a safe space, I guess is my point. It will always be a safe space. There's a reason why I do the podcast from my home, is because my home is a safe space for people. Now, that does not mean you get to Google me and like all of a sudden show up on my doorstep. Happiness either, or my office for that matter. But my space and the time that is always a safe space. And so the I really believe that through talk, through interaction, however it may be, that we can make a difference in each other's lives. And maybe some are silent, and maybe some need to verbalize it. And that is my invitation to you guys. And like I said, there's stuff that I know that I say, and Kiki, I'm sure is her hands are like this, and you can't see it, because God only brace yourself. Here comes Hurricane Alicia, because it is what it is. But I don't make people stay in their comfort zone either, and that is professional and personal hazard of being in my in my space.
You
But
know, but it's all good
it
because
is all good.
it's what we all need. And, having a safe space, a lot of people don't have that. And if you can find it, it is probably worth the best gift that you can give yourself. So, well, we're going to end for tonight. Take care of that migraine. I know how bad they can be, um, but you take care, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
Yay, I'm so excited. I hope all of our listeners are enjoying the springing time that we're getting close to. And I can't wait for another 2 weeks and see what we're going to talk about next.
You're right. Well, you take care. Love ya.
Love you.